Hello and welcome back to the Genuine Learning blog. My name is Melissa Galasso, and I thought for our second blog we would address some of the GASB statements and exposure drafts that were issued in 2017 as we enter into 2018. Now, GASB had 4 GASB statements that were issued in 2017, the first one being fiduciary activities. Now, this one is sort of a sleeper. It does have a new fiduciary fund, a custodial fund, which will replace the agency funds today, and also has some new requirements on what qualifies to be a fiduciary activity. Definitely something that all governments should take a look at. They then issued the GASB 85 Omnibus, which deals with a variety of items like goodwill. One of the issues that we had when we adopted the mergers and acquisitions for governments was that it was prospective in nature, and so it didn't really tell us what to do with existing goodwill, so the Omnibus deals with that. It also covers some OPEB-related items, specifically some things that had already been dealt with for pensions, as well as a few items related to the alternative measurement method. And then some items related to fair value and specifically money market funds. So a lot of different items, which is why they call it an omnibus. Then they issued certain debt extinguishment issues, and this is related to refundings where the government happens to have money lying around and doesn't need to borrow any additional funds. There was really no guidance out there, and so basically they're going to follow the same guidance as they would for any other refunding. And the last one is probably the biggest one that everyone thinks about, which is leases. GASB 87 brings a single model as opposed to FASB's dual model that we have for leases. They brought a single model more similar to our international counterparts overseas. And so this will have a profound impact of bringing a lot of assets and liabilities on the books that are currently operating leases. In addition to the 4 GASB statements, they also issued 3 implementation guides. One generic implementation guide back in April that dealt with a variety of different issues, specifically one that I think of very frequently is the tax abatement, which has been a very bumpy implementation. In addition, they issued an implementation guide for OPEB plans, as well as an implementation guide for the employer. In terms of what the proposals were, there were quite a few proposals as well. And so there were 5 total here, the first one being related to some debt disclosures, and so specifically related to direct borrowings and direct placements, bringing some new disclosures into play. Then that was the OPEB that we talked about earlier that was issued and final for the implementation guide. They also are looking at majority equity interest, dealing with a little bit of confusion there related to the term investment and when something should be an investment versus when something is a component unit and trying to deal with those issues. They also have another implementation guide that they're getting ready to issue that was issued on December 1st, and so that will be probably issued sometime early in 2018. And then the last one that went out in 2017 was related to interest during construction. And so currently we capitalize interest expense during the period of construction, and the proposal is to actually just expense it. And so that will have somewhat of an impact. However, it is sort of prospective in nature as you go through it. So while the FASB beat them in terms of the number of items, I think some of these are far more reaching than the ones we talked about in our last item related to the FASB. So that blog had a lot more items, but some of them were really high level or very niche. GASB hit fewer items this year, but definitely had quite a bit of items that are going to have a pretty profound impact on our governments and some of these proposals. Be on the lookout some of the projects that the GASB is currently working on related to revenue and expenses, as well as the financial reporting model, which hopefully we'll see some movement on in 2018, and I'll keep you apprised as that goes forward. Well, I want to thank you for joining me on our second blog related to what did GASB do in 2017 as we go into 2018, looking forward to seeing some of the changes that are brought to fact. So thank you for joining me and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.